it's been one of those things that's been so sensitive and hard to talk about for a lot of years now.
You began early on in your sermon and you said, I'm going to say something somehow that's controversial. Men and women are different. And there was a round of applause in the services. Why do you guys think that is?
There's a lot of things that most of us just kind of know, like this is true, but for some reason we can't talk about it out loud with anybody else because you fear getting canceled by saying something as simple as men and women are actually different.
Afterthoughts returns
We are back
for another episode. They said we would never make it to 87, but we've done it. Congratulations. And congratulations.
Oh,
got me.
man,
The
come
cool
on.
guy got
Thanks.
you.
Come on, dude.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We got to bring that back.
if you missed last
What
week's
if,
episode.
what if this weekend we just did that to everybody in the lobby who wanted to shake our hands?
Oh, I mean,
Just 100 times.
my son thinks that's awesome right now in his life. So
Yeah.
let's try it.
I'm sure he does.
Hey,
Yeah.
up high, down low, too slow. I'll try it all. I'm willing to do it.
Yeah.
If you missed last week's episode with Donald, is it G or G? I'm still not sure.
He
Depends on
doesn't
if
even
you're
know.
He
depends
doesn't
on if
know.
you're us or his family.
If you missed last week's episode first, you need to go back and watch it before you watch this one. This is one of those podcasts that each episode builds on itself.
Yeah.
You'll be
I
totally
did
lost.
find out.
This is not like watching Friends.
No.
Yeah, this is
Can't
like
just
yellow
pick a
The
random
episodes don't
episode.
stand alone at all. I found out something very important, though, from last week's episode.
Our writers are amazing.
I got
yeah.
a text from Donald later in the week after the episode. And he said, I figured out what my boss's name was.
Okay.
It was Ben.
Which is not even close to Ethan.
Wow.
Well, it's short for Ethben.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Yeah. So,
I take it back.
Got it.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
I see how that happened.
but to Ben, I'm sure you're watching, as everyone does out
Right.
there. And we're sorry for
Dude,
on Donald's behalf for
it's
not
not
even remembering
personal,
your
Ben.
name.
Must have just been shouting at the computer screen.
But Donald had been up late. He'd had a long night of travel, so we'll give him some grace there. It was Ben. And I know a lot of people were wondering, some people even guessing. It was Ben.
Okay.
So watch
we
that
go.
episode.
Shout out to Ben.
Now, if it's the future and you haven't watched next week's episode,
Whoa.
after this episode, watch next week's episode. Or next week, if you're in real time now, watch next week's episode when it comes out.
Right.
Because
Yeah. I'm following.
who's joining us, Ryan?
We got Greg, right?
We got Greg.
I'm not in the
Greg.
future, so I'm not positive.
Right. Well,
and
I
I'm
am.
trying to be more present, like my boy Greg, who
Lives a life without technology.
Wow.
As much as this, I don't know. We'll ask him about it. I don't know how it works.
so he's never listened to this podcast.
I don't know. I really don't.
That's unreal.
Yeah, no, it's real. He's doing it.
It's unreal.
Dude, Doug won't believe until he sees next week. He's like doubting Thomas.
Uh-huh.
We don't
Unless
often.
I see him without a phone.
Okay. You will next week on next week's
Tune in
episode.
I
next
will
week.
not believe.
No.
Tune
Yeah.
in next week to see if Doug sees Greg without a phone.
So last week, laughing with Donald. Next week, no tech Greg.
No.
In between, us three. Talking with Kayla.
Welcome to the party.
Oh,
about
yeah.
dating,
Dating.
marriage,
Sure.
whatever comes up.
Yep.
Let's
But
go.
first, we rarely talk about sports. And so we won't spend much time on this because there's no need to, but I will own my losses. I
Mhm.
talk a lot about our
New
teams.
segment?
New segment. Own my losses. Wah, wah. Nuggets are done. The Avs
Yes.
have been done. I haven't wanted to address that. It's
Let
been
me-
painful.
Can I ask you a serious question? Is there a part of you that's a bit relieved?
Yes. So after the Nuggets lost, I said, well, I just won't watch any more basketball. And then last night I watched the Timberwolves Thunder game. And it was kind of nice to watch it and have not, like, I hate both of these teams and I hope they both lose, but they won't. But it doesn't really get my heart rate going because I'm not rooting for anyone.
Yes.
So I feel somewhat better.
Yes.
You know, Ryan, in a former life, I used to play fantasy football. And
I remember before
there
you
was
retired.
always this feeling the day after the season ended, even if you hadn't won the championship, where you're like, kind of glad that's done. That's just one less thing for me to worry about.
Yeah.
When did you stop playing fantasy football?
January, right after the season ended.
Oh, so
I've retired.
you haven't really stopped yet.
Well,
Nobody's played fantasy
We
football.
won't know until September, correct?
Literally, the entire
true.
world has not played
Okay,
fantasy
yeah.
since January.
that's true.
So-
Yeah, dude.
I'm going to be true to my word, though. I'm not playing. You'll see. You'll all see.
Dude, that's like somebody in the afternoon staying up since the morning and then being like, I've given up on sleep. It's
Yeah.
like, no, everybody's given up on sleep since
Yeah.
9 a.m.
Correct.
But
You've done
I got-
nothing.
I got your back,
I've
dude.
been fasting since lunch. Kind of that mentality.
Got your
I
back.
get it, but thank you. I am not going to play.
Okay.
As far as my basketball analysis, go East Coast, Eastern Conference, whichever team.
Dude, shout out to
We've
Alec.
got Alec with the Pacers. My
cheering for
buddy
the
Reed,
Pacers.
big Knicks fan.
Shout out
I'm
to
fine
Reed.
with either. Just don't let it be the Thunder or the T-Wolves.
Yes.
Shea is likable. Don't like his game. Ant is not likable. I do like his game. Equals, I don't like them. All right, let's move on. No one cares about sports anyway. They're not fun at all. We are having a singles conference. And I'm going to have Ryan
Yes.
explain it to you because he knows what it is. But I am going to tell you the promo code. If you are watching or listening to this podcast, you can register for the singles conference. And Threethan will put the link in the caption of this episode. Promo code, all lowercase, Afterthoughts 20, as in 20, and numbers can't be lowercase. So you just do those normal. Afterthoughts 20, you get 20% off admission to the singles conference. Doug,
Okay.
you cannot go.
Okay.
You are not going.
No, I'm just going to say, Joey Austin just texted me.
Johnny
asking-
Austin.
Johnny
Oh,
Austin.
Joey's cousin? Or Johnny's cousin, Joey?
Yeah, no,
Oh,
Joey.
no, Joey's
I
cool,
said
yeah.
Joey texted me, not
Yeah.
Johnny. But he's like, dude, can you have Ryan explain the singles
yeah,
conference? Because I'm interested, but I don't know if it's for me yet or not.
Yeah, Joey's single. I know that.
Well, Joey, I'm glad you asked. We're doing a singles conference on June 13th. That's Friday the 13th. Felt like the right time to face your biggest fear.
Yes.
Now, let me address this right off the top. Is this a singles mixer? No, Joey, this is not a singles mixer. Is this speed dating? No, Joey, this is not speed dating. This is a singles conference. Just like we do marriage conferences, we're doing a singles conference, which means we're going to worship. We're going to dive into the word. We're going to get deeper into some of the subjects that I was preaching about this past weekend. But with more space, we're going to have different perspectives from different people who are single. And then at the end, there's going to be an after party with some food trucks and some games and some chances to hang out. And so the idea is, and the theme of this is take one single step. You don't have to boil the ocean, like our good friend
Amen.
Ed Long likes
you,
to
Ed.
say. But you can take a single step. For some of you, that's just showing up to this event. For some of you, that's getting into community because you may be single, but you're not alone. For some of you, that might be going to therapy to work through some of the stuff from your past that's keeping you
Yes.
from stepping forward into a healthy relationship. And so
It could be also asking somebody out.
some of you, that's going to be that.
It does sound like it's not a mixer, but you can meet people.
There will be plenty of time for
that's good.
that to happen.
Love
There's
to
going to
see
be
it.
time for like discussion
Yep.
with like the content from that's going on stage. Is like, let's take some time to have some discussion. And so
Great.
I think what's important is dating has moved digital. And this past weekend, I talked about a lot of some of the good, but then also some of the bad and ugly for that. What we're going to do for one night is we are going to try to move the ball the other direction. We're going to encourage people to lock up their phones if they're willing or leave their phones away. And we're going to have time for real humans to have real conversations with real eye contact in real time. And then we're just going to see what happens.
Whoa, that was good.
Great explanation.
Thanks,
Singles
Joey.
conference, June 13th. And if you do fly in from out of town, you're welcome. But the Afterthoughts 20 promo code will not work with airlines. It will only work with your admission to the conference. And that was brought to you by Body Armor. Every morning I wake up and I put on the armor of God and then I drink the body armor. And that makes me unbeatable.
Helmet of salvation.
The drink of armor.
I'm sorry, the helmet of hydration.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Hey.
Wow.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Okay, good, Ryan. And also, I have written here, you put out a free book and you didn't even tell us. You didn't even tell me and Doug we could read it.
Sorry,
You
guys.
actually charged us for it.
Yeah, I charge you guys $10.
Kinda messed up.
It's free for everybody else. There is no promo code because the whole thing's a promo code.
Nice.
Yeah, I woke up with an idea a couple of months ago about time and how there's a couple different ways to think about time. One is that time is linear, that it's always moving forward, and that's true and that's good. And people who think about time that way are really good at forgetting about the past. The problem is the past still affects us.
Correct.
The second way to think about time is that it's cyclical, that we keep just like history repeats itself. We just keep going around in a circle. And there's some truth to that. The problem is people who address it that way have a really hard time moving forward with their life.
Yes.
So this book is about a third way to think about time. Yeah. First one was you. The second one was you.
Thanks for letting us inspire your book.
Flat earther.
Yeah.
Normal circular earther.
Yeah. The
Circle-
third one,
circle
in
maker.
Oh, that's
Voice
it.
praying.
Okay.
the third one is
circle.
me, which is like time is moving forward with like an ascending spiral.
Whoa.
That it rhymes. Like there are similarities as we go around the sun, but that you can actually move forward, and that the best way to do that is to be really honest about your story and the stuff from your past. And so the free ebook is called Your Singleness Story, and it helps you look back on your story and talk about, like, actually do journal exercises about things like regret and breakups and shame and attraction, and to really help to own what has gotten you, your story that has gotten you to where you are today, to hopefully free you up to move forward into the next chapter of your life. And so that book is called Your Singleness Story. It's a free ebook that you can get on my website, ryanweckman.com.
Wow. Nicely done again.
Yeah, man.
So
Joey.
Let's
that-
go.
The
Is that-
time reminds me of Loki in Marvel with the Miss Minutes.
Huh?
You remember that? The show Loki?
I haven't seen it.
No,
Wow.
haven't
No.
seen it either.
Marvel. I thought you guys loved Marvel.
Man,
I
I
saw-
It's too
kinda-
much to keep up with.
Stopped
There's, like,
after Endgame.
spin-off shows and stuff. I
Oh.
was like, I thought Endgame meant this is
Okay.
over.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I'm a finality guy.
I
so-
took Endgame
That's
literally.
okay.
I don't
It
need
should
more.
have. It should have.
Yeah. But anyway,
meant
Kayla,
that.
what is it?
Comment
yeah.
below if people like Loki
Let's go,
on
Kayla.
my behalf.
Let's go, Kayla.
Nice.
Wait, explain it to us.
Loki.
Well, it was kind of a confusing show.
I believe
It's
you.
been a few years.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if I can explain it that well, but
Man.
all I know is he gets put into like the multi-universe, and it's like he gets like put into like the end of like time in a sense, as like he gets thrown into that. I think. Do you?
Oh, spoiler alert.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Sorry.
And there's like a dragon that essentially, like, if you get eaten by the dragon, like, then you're over forever. Like, you know how like there's multi-universes? It's like if
Yeah, I
this
hate that.
dragon like kind of gets you, then like
There's
you're
one way
done
to
for,
end it.
right?
Just the dragon.
Anyways, so
Did you-
I think I missed the season. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I think
So-
you're
So,
right.
so singleness
Right,
is kind
so-
of like
Yeah.
that.
What did Ryan's book remind you of
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
he was talking about
Just
time,
being outside of time?
and it's like outside of time. Like
Yeah,
that was like
yeah,
another
yeah.
way to look at time, because he's kind of like in the future, but like he's
Mhm.
also not in the like I don't know. So it like reminded me of that. So, anyways,
Do you
Yeah.
think that's what Interstellar was trying to explain to
Yes.
us? Because I
And-
still don't
I
know
don't
what that
even
movie
know.
was about, but I really liked it.
Once you get to the end of my
Yeah.
book, you'll understand Interstellar and Loki.
And Inception, because Time is maybe the greatest soundtrack song of all time.
Great
Hans
soundtrack.
Zimmer closed his concert with that. Don't know if I've ever mentioned I went to that.
You loved
Greatest
it,
night of
man.
my life. Okay.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard any of this.
Just in general. Well,
Yeah.
Doug, let me tell you all you need to know.
Okay, get me caught up.
In his high school yearbook, senior year, my dad had to have a senior quote. And he read in a magazine and used this. Let me say it to you all. Time is just nature's way of preventing everything from happening at once.
Justin Matott.
Amen.
all right.
Yes.
Great job, Dad.
Yeah,
One of the most brilliant writers I know.
that makes sense.
You
about
didn't come up
Loki
with
then.
That's what he went with.
Yeah. Any other worm cans you want to open, Kayla?
Or wormholes into space.
Yeah.
I just
All
don't
right.
like when things get that complex. It's the same thing with like video games. I played like sports games and stuff.
Sure.
Halo, like you win the level, you win the game, eventually it's over.
Yeah.
But some of those games that it's like, well, you could really play it forever. It's infinite. You can keep building, and I'm like,
The
too much.
Infinite
Dude.
Game by Simon Sinek.
Great book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine
I
how
haven't played it
legendary
or read it.
the Marvel, the MCU would be if they just ended with Endgame and they just went out.
But why
on
would you
top.
do that when you can make a ton more money, right?
Gosh,
And
dude.
that's why the people keep making movies.
drives me nuts.
Mhm.
So,
Anyways.
with all that said, Kayla, welcome
Hey.
back.
Thanks.
You've already contributed greatly, but we look forward to your further contributions now through questions with Kayla.
Thanks so much. This is called Shout Outs with Kayla.
Whoa.
Yay!
Shout outs with Kayla.
Okay.
I
Fun.
have
Yeah.
two, because I looked back on our comments from 2 episodes ago when we went kind of viral on YouTube. We got a lot of comments. People were like, best episode
How many comments?
ever.
We asked for them. I know that.
Yeah, we did.
That's awesome.
Oh, I have to pull it up.
Hey, feel free to
I don't know
comment
how
even if
to-
you don't.
I would have to count them, and I don't want to do that right now live on the podcast.
That'd
Did
be
you find
boring.
out?
Man, what would be
Seconds.
crazy is if we beat that record for this episode.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
man.
everybody pause this right now and you just
And-
commented a question that you want Kayla to ask
That'd be
us.
so great.
That'd
And
be
comment
wild.
what you think time is.
Yes, please.
Yes.
And what your senior yearbook quote would be or was.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's
Or
good.
just
Who's Loki?
Yeah.
or just the Hootie and the Blowfish lyric, time,
Time.
why you punish me.
Or
There it is.
why is Loki? Okay.
I Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That was about.
Lots
I was
of
about to go down
options.
another
Kayla.
can of worms.
A lot of options.
Another-
for
another
That
cooking.
can.
reminded me
Sure.
why, how. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm. Uh-huh.
No problem.
So my shout out portion.
Warm tail, Peter Pettigrew.
Warm
Yeah. We got there. That's a really good.
I could just tangent real quick. Like Voldemort should have been way scarier in
Oh,
those
dude.
movies. He was just kind of
When they like humanized him.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, when he laughs,
You're just like,
And he hugs Draco.
it's just not like the sinister, creepy guy that I thought we would. The hug. Yeah. Anyway, not that I watch those because they're evil.
And Dean's kind of laughing as he's watching
Yeah,
Voldemort
you're
hug
just
Draco.
Dude, the end of part 2 really. Forbidden Forest was a good scene.
Yeah.
Besides from that, it kind of.
It's the most well-written endings ever. Why would you remake
By
that
JK.
part?
Yeah, I know. I know.
Oh, Kayla, thank you for asking. Next question.
That was a great shout out, Kayla.
Yeah.
You're so right.
Haven't even gotten there
I'm
yet.
still laughing about people thinking that our promo code would work for flights to fly into the singles.
I don't think anyone thought that, but I just always
We're
have to cover
working
my
on it.
bases.
Yeah.
Don't want someone calling from the airport in, Florida, like, hey, this isn't
at
working with
pre-check.
Southwest Airlines. I'm buying my ticket at the counter.
At pre-check,
This probably
you
hasn't
just give him the
happened
promo code.
20 years.
It only works for the $12.
I mean,
ticket
maybe
to
it works.
the-
You could try. I don't know. Probably
Yeah,
doesn't.
maybe it will work. You never know nowadays.
That's my answer. Next question.
Okay. So this person says, "Hi from Colorado Springs."
Nice.
So that's cool. Got a
Great,
Colorado Springs
Great Wolf
listener.
Lodge, Ben.
I think
Yeah.
it's John Eldridge.
I know it is.
That would
Is
be
the
awesome.
is the handle at John Eldridge? Wild at Heart?
No,
Dang it.
but they refer to themselves as an afterthinker.
Great.
And they
Love them
say-
already. Part of the
and-
family.
Yes. And they love listening to us and appreciate y'all's leadership. So hopefully they make it to us in August, they said.
Oh, for the 100th episode.
Mm-hmm. And
Man.
then we
Yes.
have another one that says that their small group, they go to the Arvada campus. And
Awesome.
they said, seriously considering that our small group comes down for the 100th episode
Yes.
tailgate.
Let's go.
Heck yeah.
100%.
Tell you what,
You got
we're
a
gonna
promo
make
code for
There's
that?
going to be Afterthoughts merch at the 100th episode that we
Yes,
do
at
live.
the
And if you
tailgate.
come from out of state, we'll give you a free piece of merch.
Free.
Yeah.
That'll be worth it.
merch.
And we'll do our best by then to get a promo code with airlines
with United.
Afterthoughts. You know, it would be a crazy cool idea if we could somehow make an Afterthoughts universal promo code wherever you go in the world. If you use that promo code,
Dude.
it's 20% off any purchase.
Dude, not just universal, multiversal.
Yeah,
Let's
the
go.
metaverse.
Dream bigger.
Just, and then
Then double it.
And
Watch out
don't
for the
get
dragon,
killed
though.
by the dragon.
That's right.
Anything on Earth or beyond in
You
any
just
universe.
promised Afterthoughts merch.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I
Yeah.
can't wait.
And immediately when I said that, Kayla knew. I guess
I
I've
was-
got to make that.
Put in
She's a
request,
designer,
please.
but great at it. Oh boy. We'll cover for you
Oh
while you
my
get your
gosh,
phone back.
yeah.
Oh yeah, empty space, empty space. So, anyways,
Well, we're deflecting because
Kayla,
Kayla- when I was in 7th grade, we had to give a speech. We had to give a speech in front of our class,
got
and
him so
if you
good.
said like or
Yeah.
class could call you.
Let's-
They
let's
could
do it.
They could call you out.
Oh,
let's play that game.
Okay,
okay.
I'll never
I'm
say it.
scared.
How long can you go? You have to wait. Kayla, give us a premise, and we have to make a list, but we can't say like or pause.
Okay.
No empty
Okay.
space.
Got
My
it.
question.
What's a premise?
So, okay.
Mhm.
My question is favorite summer that you had as a kid? Any day now.
So I
Two-
just have to say a year without saying like or
Well,
Mhm.
you tell a story from it.
Oh, tell you about
When I
the summer.
graduated 6th grade, right after that was my birthday.
Wow.
I got a puppy Italian Greyhound as a surprise for my birthday. It's all I wanted.
Nice.
And then some roller hockey pads. And it was a wonderful birthday, and I enjoyed it so much. Thank you to my parents. Done.
Tell us what your birthday was like.
Ooh.
My birthday was fun.
Almost got him.
Can't get me.
Oh, man.
I've got body armor, dude. You're not gonna get me.
Can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
Shout out to our Christmas episode coming at you.
Yeah.
Always the lowest viewed episode of the year. So
But we're gonna
if
do
we
it
start
again this
building
year.
momentum now, and
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
at the 100th,
Mhm.
we'll kind of do maybe a preview. Maybe we could do a trailer for our Christmas
Dude,
episode.
maybe we do Christmas in August as our 100th episode.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
Or maybe 99.
We need to have Kinsley on here soon because daily we do. I say, run. Yes, you can.
From Shrek?
And then she goes,
I can see her.
Yeah.
She would crush
That's
that, dude.
her.
That was a good
so
Kinsey.
she does every time. It's so funny.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Next week.
Yeah. So that was the best summer of my life. That or the summer right before senior year of high school.
Okay.
I would say that one.
That was a good summer.
It was so
Nice.
good.
We worked at the pool.
Yes.
We never hung out that summer.
That's
We probably did
why.
actually.
Yeah, we did.
I think we did.
Probably.
So, yeah, Tony Gonzalez's house.
That's right. Yep.
After second
Yep.
grade. Yeah. Finish that
I was
there.
going to try to give any detail from it. I was like, nah. It's a crazy high school
move
party.
on.
Let's keep going.
I was like, yeah, we can't. As soon as you said Tony Gonzalez's party, I was like, okay, move on.
They had Jello. Anyway, I think we're pretty good at not
I
doing
love
this.
thinking about summer break though, Kayla. Great job.
Well, summer break's about to start. It's different when you're a parent.
Sure is.
Because your kids are just home all the time.
I've been thinking about this a lot. Everybody keeps saying, yeah, the kids have a couple days left of school. And it's been so nostalgic for me remembering back to those days. I feel like we chase that high the rest of our lives.
Yeah. It's,
But as parents,
And
do you
never
have a
get it.
different perspective?
It's just nostalgic now. Yeah.
Yeah, you chase that for the rest of your life, but you never catch it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's great to
Just- yeah.
have more time because it is now that Zeke's in school 5 days a week. It's kind of sad at times where you're like, man, I don't see him that much during the week,
Yeah.
but it does complicate the work week. So,
Sure.
you know. So anyway, Kayla, is
Yeah.
this segment that you just gave us a compliment? I think that's why we spun this way because we just don't know what to do with those. We're not used to that, so we just deflect
We will
them.
deflect.
Was I
We're
supposed to give
professional
compliments?
deflectors.
No, but the shout out was to us, and I wasn't expecting that.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't know what to do with it, so we turned it into a game.
Yeah.
About not
Are there
saying
more
like it.
shout outs?
No, it was just those two.
Just those.
Those two.
Why'd you have to say
There
that?
it
Why'd
is.
you have to ask? Because you just pointed out to everybody that's it.
Bring us right back to reality.
No.
As far as
This
everybody was
podcast is
concerned up
founded-
until
There
10
were
seconds ago,
more.
there
Founded
was
on
more.
humility.
To choose
There
from.
were
What did you call
more.
this
There
table?
were more.
Didn't you
I
have a
just
good
didn't share.
thing nameplate we were going to put on the table?
Yeah, the table of content.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Kayla?
Sorry.
Kayla's write this down. Merch for the 100th episode,
Table.
table of
name.
content plate, whatever it's
Wherever
called.
we do the
Table-
100th episode, we should bring this table.
Yes.
Have to.
Wow.
A photo
That's a
booth,
lot.
and it's the table of content. People can.
Ooh,
can
good.
pose.
and that's a great idea.
Do you guys remember when we
photo
had our
booth.
first table? Wade jumped on it because it
Yes.
was broken already, but
Yeah.
Wade
Yeah.
decided to jump on it. Almost
That's
broke
right.
His elbow.
Crazy guy.
He's
Yeah.
wild.
Bill's Mafia
Bill's
type
Mafia,
thing.
Wade.
Mhm.
Wade's Mafia.
Okay.
I will.
So is there anything else you've got?
Yes,
Okay.
there was one more thing that
Okay.
I had.
All right.
Okay, this one's from another.
Second grade for me was my favorite summer. After
Oh,
second
nice,
grade.
thanks,
dude.
right?
Like
Thank you.
Like, this
Game.
was from another comment. They helped me out this time, and they gave me a game / questions for you guys.
I thought
Okay,
this was
why
about
are
to
you
be a
putting it in quotes.
I thought this
Did
was
they or not?
They did, but I don't know what you would call this.
Got it.
So-
Activity.
activity. They gave me an activity for you
funtivity.
guys.
Mhm.
This kind of reminds me of small group, and so they're like, you should ask them the peaks and valleys of your week this week,
Hmm.
kind of like what
Oh, wow.
a small group
Like,
leader would.
And we have
ask.
to be honest.
I guess you don't
vulnerable.
have to.
I did read Dare to Lead, so I will be vulnerable.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Brene. I've
Okay,
got a
peaks
great
and valleys of the week.
Okay.
one.
Go, Rye.
I twice this week got to get to the lake.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yesterday we took the staff to the lake. Shout out to the Finches for letting us use their lake house. It's awesome. And shout out to Patrick Mooney who texted me on Friday and was like, hey, I'm going to wake surf on Friday. You want to come? And so got to do that. And I was nervous for my sermon all day Friday until I got on the water. And then by the end of that, I was just like, oh, you know what? We're fine.
Who cares? man?
And so there's something about the water, man. There's something about the lake. It's very grounding.
Jameis Winston has a great commentary on people
Yes.
that live near water if you want to look that
Yes, he does.
up. Well worth the time.
All right, E. And you can't say two valleys.
I only know valleys, Doug, but I know the
Yeah.
valley will end.
Yeah.
Did you say a valley?
Not yet.
Oh.
We're gonna share the positives first.
Oh.
Okay.
I officiated
Do
a
whatever you
wedding
want.
Okay.
in Bluffton, South Carolina for Haley and Reed.
Shout out to Haley and
Congratulations.
Reed.
No
Haley
longer
Reid.
Haley Foster, Haley McDonald.
Let's
Haley
go.
McDonald. Oh wow.
And it was an awesome wedding.
Is she now a co-owner of McDonald's?
Yeah.
That is a very profitable
She owns
business.
half
yeah.
of it.
They have franchised to multiple countries.
Yes.
Yes, dude.
Very cool.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for her.
they have like
That was a good call.
85 of them worldwide.
Possibly more.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. That's wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Monday night, my boys and I got to just hang out at the pool
Mm.
and order a Domino's pizza. And it was
Mm.
really, really fun.
Nice.
And my 2-year-old Ray's getting into jumping in and getting like
Dude,
catching
he's
him.
so awesome, man.
And he was kind of scared of the water last summer. So that's good.
Let's go,
That's
Ray.
good.
Summer nights at the pool. It's the best.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, storm music.
Here come the
Valleys,
storms.
Everyone's lowest point. I'll start. I'm going to tell this story actually in my sermon this week, so I would just tell you what it is, the subject, and I'll wait to illustrate it to you this
Wow.
weekend.
We call that a foreshadow.
Sunday night, I may have caused a fight with my wife. So that was the valley this week. And it was a bummer.
You did cause it.
And it was
I
a
did.
bummer.
I told Doug about it, and I
Yeah.
did cause it, yes.
He caused it, Steph.
But we're okay.
Uh-huh.
Steph, if you're listening, sorry.
Nice. Sunday afternoon was game 7 for the Nuggets. And I know we laugh a lot about sports. For me, it was less about the sports and more about the community element. We've had a great run of watching these playoff games together.
Yes.
And it was more sad for me that is coming to an end
Yeah.
than that the Nuggets aren't going to the next round
I
of the
only
playoffs.
invite people over during the playoffs.
Mhm.
So I'll see
So-
you next April.
Talk to you in April.
Yeah.
My
Try to
valley.
top those, dude.
All
Good
right.
luck.
Easy. There's no direct flights from Austin to Hilton Head, so I have layovers.
Connecting flights
And that's my valley.
are awful.
I hate it.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Kind of nice though when you travel alone because you can just hang out. you
That's
know?
true. Yeah. I had to sprint through the Chicago airport.
Wow.
Chicago's
to
not
Chicago?
necessarily on the
You
way
had to go to
home
Chicago
from Hilton Head to Austin, correct?
No, it's definitely not. I
No.
can picture a map in my head. It's not.
It's not.
I'm doing the geography. It's
Yes.
not.
It's up and then back down.
Holy cow.
What goes up must come down.
And you did.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a good point. Unless it goes into
Isaac
space
Newton?
and then it just
Said that, I think?
floats away.
I guess. I don't know, man.
Wow.
Man.
Well, Kayla, how about you?
Oh, my peaks and valleys?
Yeah, we're a community here, a small group.
We're a small group. And we don't have co-ed groups. Yeah, not to
Oh
be
yeah,
confusing,
never mind. Don't
guys.
answer. Good
Yeah.
point. Thanks for asking. Let's move on.
Mhm.
Doug,
Yo,
let's talk about the last 2 weeks of this relationship
all
series.
right. Jump ahead 27 minutes if you are here for the
You
content.
gotta say that in the beginning. Now. Jump ahead to now.
I think there was some
Go
other,
back in time and jump ahead 27 minutes.
I think there were some nuggets of good stuff
That's
in there.
the part
Pun
one of my
intended,
book is all
nuggets
about how
lost. That was a
time
low
works
point.
like
Go back
that.
to zero.
Yeah.
It's not cyclical, it's linear. And
Yeah.
so now we're here.
Go back to zero and rewatch the first 27
Just
minutes.
like how
and
people
don't
are
bother.
like, well, yeah, I kind of skipped through the banter because I don't have time. I'm like, you watched The Bachelor. Shut up.
Yeah.
Like, this is, don't tell
Yeah.
me you don't waste time
Yeah.
in your life, please.
I don't have time to pray. Oh,
And
let
you-
me see your iPhone.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we're
Anyway,
all convicted,
about listening to the banter on this podcast.
except Greg from next week.
Yeah, he's not.
But he
And
won't hear this.
Can't know.
Yeah.
We'll tell him
He'll
next
never
week.
see the episode he's in. Crazy thought. Okay. Doug, let's start with you.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, you preached a message about the differences between men and women.
Yes, Ethan.
You began early on in your sermon and you said, I'm going to say something somehow that's controversial.
I did do that.
I know. I'm not recounting it for you.
And I'm going to do the same thing in Denver this weekend.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Nice.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I'm
Spoilers.
okay. Saying this for the audience.
yep.
Men and women are different.
Okay.
And there was a round of applause in the services. Why do you
Yes.
guys think that is? I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. Were you expecting the applause?
No.
He is never expecting applause, ever.
Which is
I
good.
always expect laughs to my jokes because they're so good.
And they never.
But I never expect applause to my points because they're not good. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So no, I was not expecting.
Let's go back to
applause.
my question. though.
Okay. No, man.
Why do you think
I
that
thought
there was applause?
I thought it was going to be silent,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's been one of those things that's been so sensitive and hard to talk about for a lot of years now. And there's a lot of things that most of us just kind of know, like this is true, but for some reason we can't talk about it out loud with anybody else because you fear getting canceled by saying something as simple as men and women are actually different.
Yeah.
And also when I say that, it doesn't mean we're completely different in every way and all women are the same and all men are the same. That's also not the case.
Right.
All women are different from each other and the same as each other in a lot of ways. And all men are different from each other and the same as each other in a lot of ways as well.
Yes.
And all those things I just said are true. And men and women have similarities, but men and women are not the same.
Yeah.
We are very different. And I think it was just refreshing for people to
Hear that.
have somebody say that from a platform.
Yeah.
And go, thank you.
Right.
Because I have always known that.
Yes.
And we haven't been allowed to say that.
Yes. Because for some reason, saying we're different makes people think we're not equal.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That seems to be the root problem to me.
Correct. Yeah.
Where did that come from?
That for some reason, because there's differences between men and women, and maybe like biologically, most of the time men are stronger physically, things like that. It has led to feeling like maybe women feel like, well, by pointing out our differences, you're going to push me down and make me feel like I'm less valuable, which is not a biblical perspective, though there have been people who've hijacked the Bible to try to say that.
Sure.
But I don't know fully like why that's also so shocking now, or why in our culture that's like refreshing to hear when it seems obvious
Yeah.
and is okay.
Right.
It doesn't diminish either side.
No.
It's just very helpful to know.
Yeah. And one thing I said, a balancing statement I made was I'm painting with broad strokes.
Yeah, that was good.
So I'm going to say general things that are true, knowing not everything I say will be subjectively true for absolutely everybody. I went through
Isn't it crazy you have to make so many balancing
so
statements?
many, dude.
Because people will hear what they want to hear or what they think,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
but not actually what you're saying. You said that literally. You're like, don't hear what I'm not saying.
Only hear
Listen
what
to what
I
I'm
am saying. And don't hear what you want me to say.
Dude,
Yeah,
I hear what
Because
you're
it's
trying to
going
say.
to reaffirm a narrative that you have that the
Yeah.
church's way is oppressive and God's way is outdated. And you want to hear me say something to reaffirm that your narrative is true. And I said, I want to challenge you to hear exactly what I'm saying and nothing that I'm not. So
Dude,
for instance,
wild.
I made a lot of jokes, like differences between me and Sam and men and women in general with bathroom culture and how we travel
Yeah.
from the bottles in the shower at our house. There's 11 of them and 2 of them are mine and 9 of them are Sam's. And I could go Will and Kinsley and talk about differences between them for days.
Yeah.
Yep. But then also we could look at Will and Zeke, and they're the same in a lot of ways, and they're very different in a lot of ways. And so I went from a lot of more humor to, okay, let's talk studies and statistics. Women tend to be have a higher emotional capacity.
Right.
Men take bigger risks. Women are more practical when it comes to risk taking. And then I kind of paused and said, now, if you're a guy in here and you would say, I have a high emotional capacity, or a woman who would say, I take big risks.
Right.
I didn't say you didn't,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'm saying,
Yes.
by and large, this is, statistically speaking, we are different.
Yes.
And I think it was just refreshing for people to hear that.
It's almost like what I hear you saying is there's a difference between there's the individual and then there's the universal truth. So there's each individual person, and then there's talking about like men or women as a group. And what it sounds like we've gotten really bad at is talking about the group without completely personalizing it. And so anytime somebody makes a statement about the group, you go, but that's not true about me. And so how dare you say that?
Right.
Is that fair to say? It's almost like we need to get back to understanding how to separate, compartmentalize in our mind. I am a unique individual person and I'm a part of this group. And so we can talk about the group and we can talk about the individual.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is because I'm assuming there's a lot of hurt behind that.
Sure.
I almost use the example, but I I didn't. And there's some truth to this, and then it's unfair in some ways too. So I'm just acknowledging that before I say it.
Yeah.
But it's like this person's birthday, and you're like, why do they get all the presents and I don't get one? Oh, because it's their birthday.
Right.
So today we're celebrating this.
Right.
Mhm.
And there comes a point as a kid where you stop getting presents on your sister's birthday
Right.
because we're talking about, and that doesn't mean you're less important. That just means the party is about them today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Same kind of deal. We're talking about that doesn't mean
Right.
that your story's not this.
Right.
It means we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Are you saying that people have a tendency to make everything about themselves?
Yes.
Wow.
But until we truly get that, we can't talk about anything
Correct.
Nothing.
without
And everyone will be
making
offended by
a
everything.
1,000 balancing statements.
Correct.
I also think that our culture, and probably some of it out of good intention in the fights for things like, there's been cultures obviously where women are treated as less, and that needs to be fought
Mhm.
against, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in trying to level the playing field, that becomes like a catch-all for everything.
Mm.
And everything has to be completely the same, and everything has to be completely equal and the same, or not equal, the same, which leads to kind of starting to ultimately undo reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I think people applaud when they hear a fact that's no longer thought of as a fact, because our culture has tried to dismantle what's just been true for the entire human existence.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden go, that's not true.
Right.
Men and women are the same. And everyone's like, are we though? Because it just feels like that's never been true. And there's some
Right.
things about biology and who we are that just aren't that way.
Right.
But I'm a bad person for saying that. And people are going to hate me for saying that.
Right.
Right. So
Mhm.
when you hear sharp truth, or what feels like sharp truth in a culture that's trying to become relative about everything and dismantle reality, it is refreshing.
Yeah. It's something firm to stand on
Yeah.
when everything is fluid
Uh-huh.
and everything is relative. And, I said our culture doesn't know which way is up and which way is down right now. So
Right.
don't let them tell you,
Right.
that you're not enough or
Yes.
that you don't have what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you live in a relative world where everything's fluid and everything seems unsure, to hear just like truth, something definitive.
Mhm.
It's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
feels
yeah,
like you're standing on something sturdy again,
Yeah.
even if just for a second, and it
Mhm.
feels really good,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, man. It's like getting off a trampoline and
basically.
finding like solid ground.
My next question is this: do I have what it takes?
Hmm.
Do you guys think so?
Why do you ask that?
I don't know. It's burning in my heart.
Seems like it always has been.
Mm.
Yeah. So long story short, I made the point that we're built different, we're formed different, and you even go back to the original language in the Hebrew in Genesis, and God formed Adam
Right.
from the dust of the ground, and then from Adam's rib, God built or fashioned Eve. Two different Hebrew words.
Right.
So even the words are different with how he created Adam
Yeah.
versus Eve and made us different, male and female, on purpose. And then not just that, but we're also broken different. And Genesis 3 is basically the X-ray. It doesn't just tell us why, it tells us exactly how.
Right.
That women, by and large, once again, painting with broad strokes, this is how the feminine heart is now fallen.
Mhm.
This is how the masculine heart is now fallen. And the feminine heart is haunted by the question, am I enough? And Genesis 3 talks about the curse placed on women, and it talks about the pain in childbirth. And it was on Mother's Day that I read that, and I don't really know what else to say other than that wasn't my idea. I'm just reading it, and happy Mother's Day. Sorry about that. But also, your longing will be for your husband, and you will desire or seek to control him or master him because you're asking the question, am I enough? And you will look to, more often than not, a husband or a dad or men in general to answer that question, am I enough? And am I enough compared to the other women around me and it's not always just asking men. I think in our day and age, there's a lot more places to get your question answered.
Sure.
And that's not necessarily a good thing that we now have more places to answer our questions apart from God, because every masculine heart from the time you're 4 is asking the question, do I have what it takes? You're trying to find that out in T-ball.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're challenging your friends, you're comparing cooler toys, you're, and then who can bench more, and then who, even at like church conferences, if we go to those, if it's just men in the lobby talking, it always comes down to like, what are you running? And what are what are your Easter numbers? It's like, but it's this same wound
Yeah.
as when you were 4. And we just have access to more resources to try to get that question answered. What is your net worth? It's the same as when we try to bench more than each other. It's, do I have what it takes? And
real quick.
men will look to the world,
Okay.
to success, to trying to provide, and like a net worth or climbing the ladder, or to answer, do I really have what it takes? And it says, and in thorns and thistles you will toil, and you will fight every day, and it will never be easy. It's like it will war against you as you try to get your question answered.
Dude, that word toil
Yeah.
is haunting, man.
Haunting. And then I had those piggy banks where I said, a blue one and a pink one. And in marriage, let's just talk in marriage for a second. If your bank accounts are low, and each spouse, their question hasn't been answered in a while. So husband, you haven't answered if she's really enough, because she's looking to you to answer that. And wife, you haven't answered if he has what it takes, because he doesn't know if you believe that about him or not. Then marriage is hell if piggy banks are empty and questions are unanswered, and you'll fight a lot. And it's actually not about the dishes, and it's not about the calendar. It's about unanswered questions. But when piggy banks are full and the questions are answered, marriage is awesome. And that's when you actually start to thrive and not just survive the season you're in.
Can I chime in really quick?
Yes.
Let's go, Kayla.
So I can give like a story, I guess you could say, because my husband Logan and I work together. And at the first few months, it was challenging, which we knew going into it. People told us like it's going to be challenging. You're working with your spouse. But I think, fresh into marriage, we both didn't have those questions answered. And so now I'm wondering, am I enough? And we're working together. So he's now at the place where he is now striving for do I have what it takes, literally in his environment. And there's many times where we would just get into like silly arguments where it was like, I'm over here like he's not seeing me, like, and I'm wondering like he hasn't given me a hug or whatever, like dumb things that, but it meant a lot to me.
But
not dumb.
Can I say not dumb?
Not
You know what I mean?
because I had the question.
Yeah, exactly.
And our piggy banks weren't full in this season because we were freshly married. And then he's over in the lobby or whatever on a Sunday morning, and he's wondering, do I have what it takes? Like, I'm fresh into this job because he was like only 3 months into being hired. So he's wondering, do I have what it takes to like take on this big role, like impress people, like do the thing? It's a whole new job. And so then he's like getting frustrated that now he's like, he doesn't know if he has what it takes. And like, I didn't know that like, that's what his heart was like longing for. And like the question was, and so it was great. Like we met with Sam and Doug, and they talked us through that and gave us language. And it just like has helped us to like, okay, where do we meet in the middle? Like not meet in the middle, but like answer each other's questions.
Right.
And it just like has helped us. And obviously there's still moments and times where it happens, but I think it has helped us a lot to just be like, okay, even in outside of a work setting, it's like helped us in our house just to like answer each other's questions. Is like, oh, they might be like getting short with me or whatever. Like, have I been answering their question? Like maybe it's me and maybe it's not me, but like maybe it is me. Like I haven't been like answering their question and they're really longing for that right now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's like an example of a very strange to work with your spouse, but like it shows like the female side of like, like just sitting there like wanting the attention or whatever. Cause I just didn't know, like, I don't know if I'm enough or whatever, but deep down I know, but it's still like, I like how you said, it's like, obviously you want to know from God, but there's also then the second container of like, you need that still from your husband. I think sometimes if you get hyper focused on like, you just need it from God and that's it, you forget the other half. And then it's like, well, your spouse is there for a reason too. So
Can I ask you a question?
So
In a
well
work
said.
setting, in your heart, the question, am I enough,
Mhm.
Let's go back in time 6 months.
Okay.
Are you looking for a boss to answer that you are enough to be here? Or in a work setting where your husband is a few desks away, are you looking for
Mhm.
your husband to answer that question that I'm glad you're here with me?
I mean, I more so like look for it with Logan. I think
Mhm.
his opinion like weighs a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think like for him, like when he says like critiques a little bit about my work or something, like it definitely like I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
like I really want to consider what you said, like
Right.
take it to heart a little bit more.
Yeah.
But still, Ethan's my boss, so I still
I never answer anyone's questions.
No.
he's still
You
like
wanna keep
it's
them
still-
nervous.
That's right.
Worrying about their jobs.
Yeah.
Always.
Because then they put in extra hours and they don't use their vacation days.
Exactly.
And if they do, always make them feel guilty for
Yeah.
using
Oh,
vacation
must be nice.
days.
Yeah, you go on
must be
vacation.
nice. That was great, Kayla. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
Awesome.
You're
It's
Thank
a very
So good.
real, which is why like things like the 5 love languages
Yeah.
are really helpful for couples because you can also try to fill the piggy bank, but not with what they need.
you. Correct.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, most couples is like, well, what's your love language? Oh, the opposite of my spouse,
Uh-huh.
or what I'm not good at.
Uh-huh.
And so then it's not just like a natural thing; it's a learned
Correct.
way to fill the piggy bank.
Mhm.
So it's challenging but important. All right. Any other things on that before I ask Ryan a question?
Well, I had Nate from Cafe asked me a great question. He said, when you're not married and you're in a small group or just a community of friends,
Mhm.
how do you get your question answered?
Oh, good.
I was like, that's actually that's a great question. And first of all, I think all of us have a responsibility. I think it's great awareness to know, okay, in this room, this is the question Ethan's asking, this is the question Kayla's asking, and the one that I'm asking, just having that awareness.
Yeah.
Because I can do something to help answer that, right? And then also we have I think a responsibility to check our own hearts, and because the piggy banks like have holes, or like a bucket that leaks where you can get it filled, and it's like the very next day it's like empty again.
Yeah.
And then it's exhausting for the people in your life to try to keep that thing full. And so it's like you have a responsibility to do the work to figure out what the leaks are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also.
That's great.
And so that's also something to always be one of the best ways to have your heart filled up is to figure out what those leaks are and fill
That would
them.
be a great
Rather than
part
just
2 sermon.
relying on people to every day, like,
Right.
you know what I mean? As it's leaking, be filling it.
yeah.
So
Yeah. And I do think if you can find a rooted identity in Christ that you just know that you've got everything you need from him, that then your spouse is more of a reminder than what you rely on
Right.
for that identity. Because it is important for your spouse to make you feel that you are enough or that you have what it takes, for sure. But if you don't have that answered by God first, then you'll only rely on your spouse, and then they will be exhausted trying to answer that question. And so in the meantime, before you have that, I think is that beautiful time period where you go as deep as you possibly can to get those questions answered by the truth of Scripture, by your time with God, and also like a thought exercise of what are the things that in my life, when I do something or something happens, it makes me feel like I am enough, I have what it takes. And what are the things that like empty that piggy bank immediately? What
Right.
bankrupts that? Because that can either point you to, I'm relying on the wrong things, or there's some ways I'm geared that really, like, if encouraged, helps me to feel like this is how God made me, and I do need to be encouraged in those ways.
That's really good.
It's great, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about dating.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You preached a message, Ryan, this past weekend, I don't know if you recall, called The Dating Dilemma.
That's right. Today's dating dilemma.
Today's dating dilemma. So
Yeah.
when we were in the dating world, there were no apps, or it was like, I don't know, stuff you didn't use if you were a young adult, like eHarmony and stuff online. But there were no apps like there are today. So we're in a different dating era.
Yeah.
What do you think that era before the apps can teach the era now that's very technology centered and become way more complicated? Is there anything that we can help with, is what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah.
Or are we obsolete when it comes to dating?
No, not at all. I think, well, first off, there's a lot of good that comes with the new dating world and it being digital. And so we never
What
want to
is that?
discount that. Well, I think it is helpful to, especially for people who are more introverted, it becomes easier for them to at least like meet and interact and send like a message to somebody.
Okay. Easier ways to make connection.
It's easier to make level 1 connection. It's way harder to make level 2 connection, which I just made those levels up. But you know what I mean? Like
I
it's,
like it.
It's easy
I
to
understood.
initiate conversations.
I like that.
But I think what we need to get back to, and this is kind of the heart behind Singles Conference and a lot of the things that we're trying to do, just even in the lobby at church, is it's always been about real humans in real time. Like Adam and Eve didn't have phones. Like Adam didn't find Eve on a dating app, right? Like they were together in the same place.
Right.
So that's always been the design. And the problem is the digital dating world makes it easy to find counterfeit versions of answers to the questions that Doug is posing. So do I have what it takes and am I enough? It's like, well, if I have enough followers, I'll feel like I'm enough, right? Or I'll feel like I have what it takes. Or if I'm getting enough, I don't even know how dating apps work, by the way. If I'm getting enough like people swiping right or whatever.
Yeah.
Winks.
Yeah, is that how it goes?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're close.
But it's not the real thing, right? It's not the actual connection that and intimacy that your soul is longing for. And so that's why I went with Matthew 7, Jesus saying, build your house on the rock instead of building your house on the sand. When you build your house on the sand, you are going to be doomed to constantly ask the question, am I enough or do I have what it takes?
Yeah.
And your bucket is, to use your analogy, your piggy bank will have tons of holes in it. And so you'll need answers to that every single day. You build your house on the rock, you understand that God sees you and says, you do have what it takes. You are enough. And then from there, from a place of security, you can enter into the dating world without needing somebody else to give you those answers that you're searching for. And so that's where I went. I would love to hear from you two who have not been in the dating world for over a decade now. What's your sense on the current dating situation, and what advice do you have to people who are currently looking to date?
I think the majority of weddings I officiate or have officiated in the last, let's say, 6 years we've been in Austin, have been couples who met on Hinge.
Yeah.
So there's something to that app. I've never had it, but there's something to that, which I've heard is because that's more of like, I want to go find a real serious relationship, not a fling hookup type app.
Nice.
But not just that app, the couples quickly moved from the app to real relationship.
Nice.
So it wasn't playing games forever and ever. Most of these couples, when I hear their stories, like we matched and then we agreed to meet up. We went on a date. We had a really good conversation. And within a few dates, they've talked about the important stuff. There's a lot of people that I think in the dating world, they kind of and some of it's probably because they're nervous and they're looking for someone. They don't want to push somebody away too fast. And it all feels like this chess game. But like, if you're finding out 5 dates in that your faith doesn't line up.
And you could have found that out on date 1.
Or on their profile.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
it should kind of sort of eliminate options more quickly, but I feel like a lot of people don't utilize that well. But the ones that have found someone quickly were willing to have a narrowed vision, pay attention, and ask important questions right off the bat before emotions got attached.
Yeah.
To go, you seem like a really cool or attractive person, whatever, but I am not going on a second date unless I know we're lined up on our faith.
Right.
And that doesn't mean you go to church. That means you are pursuing a relationship with God, like those kinds of things, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So it's using the app
to
as
double down
the
on that.
entry point to then have real good communication and find out the real things you need to investigate quickly.
Awesome, man. I think a pastoral moment real quick to double down on that. Just because somebody goes to Red Rocks doesn't mean that they're following Jesus.
100%.
And we wish that was, we wish that was not true. Well, actually, we always want to be a place for prodigals and all of that. But I just want to double down on that. Don't use like, well, they went to Red Rocks and they said they went to Red Rocks, but then they turned out to, it's like, hey, you have a job to do here. You have to make sure that they're a follower of Jesus.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've been to sports games where I'm not a fan of that team. I just went to one game, right? Like it's not like you're actually tied to that thing.
Totally.
But also there's people who are like, oh man, you have no idea. Like even people at your church, that are out in that dating world making a mess. And I'm like, do you think I'm surprised by that? Like
Right.
there's all walks of life coming in here. So
Yeah.
you can't just assume because they go to church that they're
Yeah.
serious about their faith. Very good point.
That's
Doug?
interesting.
That's great.
Well, when you hear the term online dating,
Mm.
is it fair for me to say even like dating apps doesn't mean online dating? It's like a tool. Dating is done in person
Right.
over a dinner or a lunch or a coffee or whatever. There's just now apps that make it easier for those meetings to be initiated.
Right. So
Yeah.
shouldn't this have made things easier? But it somehow seems like people are saying it's making things harder.
Really good.
Correct. Yeah. So what is it about? So it's you said the step one of initiation for like an introvert became easier, but the step two of actually connecting and not interviewing or interrogating, but really seeing, is there something here with this
Right.
person? Why is that more challenging? Just because there's tools that make the introduction happen faster.
That's a phenomenal point.
It seems to me like it's two separate things. It's not dating apps that make us worse at sitting across a cup of coffee and getting to know each other and making decisions and all that stuff.
Except that ever since Adam and Eve sewed fig leaves together in the garden to hide themselves from each other, humans have gotten really good at looking for any tool to hide behind.
Right.
And so this tool that was supposed to bring us together actually, I would imagine, became a safety zone for some people to let's just keep this quote unquote relationship completely digital or completely removed. And so I think something that was supposed to initiate the human interaction has probably at some level also been used for people to eliminate the human interaction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the things that make it harder for people mentally now, maybe in the dating world, is for one, we always talk about the paradox of choice, where when we went out, when we're in college, you go out to the bars, you hope you meet a girl, talk to her, maybe ask her on a date. And if you didn't, you went home and that was that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe next weekend you'll go meet somebody, but now it never stops. And so I think that makes that pressure feel so much heavier on people of like, well, I'm still single and I could be spending more time on apps trying to find, like it could never be shut off.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine. But also because there is in your mind infinite options, it can feel very tough probably to just dive in on a relationship and go like, I think I really like this person. And I think maybe I'll just commit to like, let's date and let's just go for this whole thing. But if I find one flaw,
Dude,
I'm out because there's somebody else better on that app. Whereas when we were dating, it was like, I mean, you cut your losses here and you may not meet a girl for a while. Like this isn't this, there's not always an option right in front of you.
Yeah.
Back when we were in the dating world.
and when I was first asked Sam out and was dating Sam, there was nothing in my mind about comparing her to a million others. It was all just like,
She
do
was
I
there.
like spending time with you? Like there's somebody in front of me
Interesting.
who I
yeah.
think is beautiful and smart and funny, and I enjoy spending time with her. And there was no paradox of choice over here. It was just like there's something to this girl, and I have never really, and I've made it no secret, I think the soulmate thing is stupid.
Yes.
Okay, I think it might be the reason a lot of people who don't want to be single are still single.
Yeah.
Is because you still are thinking that's true.
Right.
And it's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just mathematically.
Yeah.
And so I'm just with Sam thinking we are two imperfect people who love spending time with each other, and we could build something really cool. Like we could make like a really cool family and relationship with each other. And it wasn't, now let me put this over here and compare it to 1,000 others. I never really had that. I was just,
It's fascinating.
yeah.
You asked earlier, you're like, we should talk about like, how did you know
Yeah.
if that's who you're going to marry? And I've heard Doug say it before, and I've said it too. I knew when I decided that she was.
Correct.
Right?
Say more about that.
So I think if you have an app, you can always find a flaw in the person you're with to think there's somebody that doesn't have that flaw.
Right.
That you're looking for perfection that doesn't exist, but it gives you the illusion that it is. And that will never happen. But when Steph and I started dating, and I quickly knew we line up when it comes to the most important thing in our life, which is our faith. She's not just giving lip service to it. She actually is passionately pursuing a relationship with God more than I am. Like she challenges me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's more things we have in common and ways that we click and stuff like that on top of that. Very quickly, I just knew the same thing. I can have a future with this girl and the emotions, you know, and those things follow. But like the decision was really the point. When I asked her to marry me, it's like, you're the one for me. I've decided that. And you said yes. So you've decided the same thing. I think dating now probably feels like this. When you're trying to pick a show and you start an episode of a new show, but like the first 10 minutes, you're like, maybe I should watch that other show or that movie tonight. Or I don't know if I really want to get into this full season because it feels like a commitment. Where it was like, man, you asked her on a date and it went well. You're like, okay, I think I'm in season 1 of Stephanie. Like, I'm just going to go and date her and I'm just going to see this through. Yeah. And if it keeps going well, great. And if it doesn't, then I'll be back to the drawing board. But I think most people live in that episode 1 tension.
Now you're in
can't
season
commit.
11.
And now I'm in season 11.
Let's
man.
go.
And it
Best season yet, man. For
Yeah.
Steph, at least, you know.
Yeah.
She's having a great time.
She is living
So
the dream.
I am so happy for her.
Yeah.
You have
Really
anything
well
to say to
said.
that?
Yeah. I mean, I remember surfing in Laguna because
Man, amen.
Amen. End it there.
I was and I was out there. I spent a whole month. I remember I was reading Proverbs 3 that said, in all your ways submit to him and he will make your path straight. And I was trying to ask God, like, will you make this path straight for me? Like, I want to know which path to take as far as, do I marry her or not? And it's not a formula, but it kind of is that verse. If you submit more ways to God, he will make more of your path
It's a
straight.
good thing. Yeah.
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 And so I said, well, is there something? And I really felt like a month before this surfing moment, I felt, what if you just spent a whole month like doing everything you can to make her feel as loved as possible? And you stop worrying about how you feel about this relationship, truly. And you just go, I'm going to make this girl feel so loved for a month. And you should be doing that all the time. But yeah, it was like, for this month, I'm going to submit that to God. And so I kind of went crazy. Like it was text messages every day, the random flowers, just all the things I know she loves. Like,
Took her to Costco for a slice of pizza.
Yeah, dude.
On your ministry intern budget.
Exactly.
I actually get $50 a month to take kids out to the lunch.
And this is no joke. I don't want this to sound like oversimplified or like a rom-com or a cheesy movie, but I was surfing a month later and I just realized it all of a sudden. I was like, I really like making this girl feel loved.
That's cool.
So why don't I
Very
just
cool.
do that for the rest of my life?
Right.
And it wasn't about me. And it not that it shouldn't be at all, because it like, don't hear me saying that.
Right.
That's very important. But I think sometimes that's all we're asking is, how's this making me feel? Is this the right person for me? And when that all of a sudden switched to, I just enjoy making her smile.
Yeah.
And I could get used to that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just decide.
Yep.
I'm going to marry her.
Yeah.
And that's going to make, that's a huge decision that I just don't have to make anymore.
Yeah.
And there was a simplicity that followed where I was like, I was all in for this show, this season.
This is
And
my
I don't
show
have
now.
to, y'all can talk to me about season 1 of 100 other different shows that you kept kind of flipping through.
Yeah.
But it's not until you actually commit to one that, and you go through the good and the bad, that it really starts to,
That's great.
you have like
Yeah.
a story to tell, and it starts to get rich and all of that. And you know
Well
what I
said.
mean?
Well
So
said.
honestly, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick preview of this weekend. So this will sound crazy to some people, but I think our belief that the point of life and relationship is happiness is killing relationships. And is probably a prime cause of why people can't find somebody or stay in a relationship.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Second, I'd like to draw a line here between picky and perfection.
Okay.
Because a lot of people have an issue with like, wow, people are so picky. I'm like, you should be picky.
Yeah.
If you're not picky, you end up with whoever. You make a lot of, is it whoever or whomever?
Nobody knows.
It's actually never whomever. It's a made up word to trick students.
Is that true? You should be picky. If you're not, you will accept anything. And you certainly don't want to do that with the person you're going to spend your life with.
Right.
Correct.
But you should not expect perfection. And I think people say like, well, I'm just
Ooh.
picky. I'm like, no. You're looking for a human that doesn't exist.
Mhm.
And that is an expectation of perfection that will keep you.
Yeah.
So all that to say, I have a lot of sympathy for people in today's dating world because I recognize it is complicated. It
Yeah.
is different than when we were in that world.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's challenging. You can't shut your brain off. There's all that stuff. But I think a lot of people that are complaining about it are making it very hard on themselves because they won't be picky and actually learn those things really quickly, and they keep finding themselves in relationships with people they shouldn't have been with in the first place, or because they're expecting perfection and they won't go on a date with anybody because nobody lives up to that standard of perfection.
Mhm.
Thank you. This has been my talk.
Man, that was really good.
That was
I
great.
shouldn't say actually like it was a surprise. That
Dude, I
was really
can't
Why do
believe
people
you
always
said
have to say
something
that was
smart.
Actually, dude, you just said something really
Sorry, I
like good.
actually
Actually,
kinda
dude.
like-
I
church this
actually
weekend.
enjoyed hanging out with you today, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Didn't have to say
Yeah, it does.
actually.
It does make you wonder if you have that mindset, like the correct mindset. Does it matter if it's 2025 or 1985, and you're in the dating world?
I don't think so. I think now it would actually make it easier.
Okay.
It would be a bonus now to live in a time where it's easier to make those connections. When it
Mhm.
was like, you just got to go out in public and try to talk to some girl. That's
The
more
only
to-
thing
you know?
that could make it hard is that you have that mindset, but you're trying to find somebody else who does, and
Almost no one does.
not exactly.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Man.
But the picky versus perfect, I think a lot of times we'll make a list and we'll say all 15. What are your non-negotiables? All 15 of them. No, but really though, like 3 of those things should be your non-negotiables. And then the other 12 might be keeping you from receiving the greatest gift God is trying to give to you.
Yeah.
And you're not even giving this a chance because of a list.
It's great,
Yeah.
dude.
And so what is really a non-negotiable?
So-
And yeah.
Okay. So this takes us to prearranged marriages,
Uh-huh.
which have about the same success rate as love marriages, as those cultures would call our marriages, where you choose based off of love. Whereas prearranged, your family decides for you. They have a list. They know what you're like and they know what you're looking for. And it's the people who know you best that go and choose for you. And so that's an interesting thought experiment because I kind of think that dating apps are trying to do that for you. It's like an algorithm that's like, let us learn about you, and then we'll filter out and show you people that line up kind of with you.
Except that it's delegating that task to algorithm as opposed to
Right.
the people that you
Sure.
love.
Sure.
And that's not just like nitpicky. That's a really big deal that it has kind of depersonalized the dating
Yeah.
world, as opposed to going, hey, you guys know me better than anybody else. Do you see anybody? And that's where like it's becoming more and more isolated. And this just works better when there's
Good point.
Mhm.
So there's not the community, there's not the subjective people helping you. It's an objective, so to speak, algorithm.
Mhm.
But they filter out and choose. And those marriages have the same success rate because that what's understood is you figure it out. You make this choice and you make it work.
Right.
The couple we lived with in India,
Yeah.
they met each other on their wedding day.
Right.
Yeah.
And
They're
they've been married
thriving.
for decades.
And sent
they
us a
built
message
beautiful
5 days
family.
ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Built
That
a
was
beautiful
awesome.
family, have found a huge purpose for their marriage, and what
They're
they've done with their
amazing.
lives is incredible.
Yes.
And they had to just figure that out year one of marriage,
Yeah.
just starting from there,
Yeah.
which I think just should hopefully give people hope in love marriages in our culture of going, they're not going to be perfect and we're going to have issues.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean this is wrong.
Yeah.
I heard a pastor in a sermon on marriage I was listening to last week. He goes, a lot of people are saying, well, I married the wrong person. Well, if you're married, they're the right person now.
Right.
You go figure that out, right?
Make it work.
Right.
And that there's almost a too much making sure everything's perfect before someone will propose now. There's too much investigation. Like we're going to be dating for 5 years before I really know for sure that I know. I'm like, you'll talk yourself out of this with too much time with any human being on earth.
I think the
a
50%
great point.
divorce rate has less to do with people picking the wrong person and more to do with people having the wrong mindset about what this is.
Oof.
So if you have 2 people with the right mindset, I mean, and you have 4 things in common and one of them's Jesus, you can build a pretty awesome
That's so funny.
life if you
Yeah,
put the work
totally.
into it.
There was a guy, Tim Hagen.
Yeah.
I remember we were driving with him in Belize and we're like, so how'd you meet your wife? And he tells the story, like, how'd you know like that you wanted to marry her? And he goes, and this is oversimplification, but he says, we like the same music.
Yeah.
And he knew like that was off the foundation of we
Mhm.
both are
Yeah.
believers and they shared that faith. But other than that, he's like, we like the same music. And we're like, that's it. He's like, 10 years later, we like different music. We're different people, but
Dude,
we had something in common and we shared our faith,
Yeah.
and we've just grown and adapted and become
So
the people we
good,
are
man.
together.
me and Sam are different in so many ways. It's hard to even describe them all.
Yeah.
And she's gonna do a message with me in a few weeks, and
Yeah,
people are
she
gonna
is.
learn a little bit more about that.
Can't
but
wait.
our differences, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a few things that we, share, and then things over the last decade that we've grown to share with each other.
Yes. Which reminds me of one of the great couples of all time, Sandy and Kirsten Cohen
Oh,
They're the best.
on the OC. Had some bumps in the road, couple
Sure.
storylines that weren't true to their character.
only
but
because
anyway,
of the writers, not
only
because
because
of
of the
them.
writers. Exactly.
Because the
dude.
script said they had to do that.
But there is an episode where Seth, one of the great characters of all time,
Wow.
their son, played by Adam Brody, has two girls he likes, and one of them he has everything, and she's like the female version of him, and it's really easy for them to hang out because she's a carbon copy of him. And then there's Summer, who they're very different.
Right. Anna and Summer.
Anna and Summer. And he's asking his dad, like, well, you and mom, like, you have so much in common, as he's trying to figure it out. And Sandy's like, yeah, but like, cannot think of it. He's like, we both like soup. Like he gets to that, like, can't think of anything.
Yeah.
And it's a good example of, you don't want to, first of all, marry a carbon copy of yourself. Also, the differences between you will make you better. They will grow you.
Yeah.
You will adapt. The challenges that come were actually good, which is why this weekend I want to talk about the real purpose of marriage and how we go about that. And it's not just to make me happy.
Let's go.
That's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great.
Thank
E.
you so much.
I
but
can't
you
wait
haven't
to
heard
hear it.
yet, so
That's
we have
actually
to
a
hope.
great idea for a sermon.
Dude, you actually are going to preach a decent sermon
Yeah.
this weekend.
This was actually a really fun episode, guys.
Yeah.
I think everybody's obsessed with this episode. It's my favorite ever. Comment
obsessed.
below why this was your favorite. Great job to everybody. Come to the singles conference if you are single. Have people asked, can I come if I'm not single?
The answer is no.
Yeah. And why are you asking that question? I
you
guess if
speaking
you're
at- are you
dating
speaking
and
at
you're
it?
like,
Yeah, there's going to
maybe
be
soon.
a couple different sessions, but yes, I'll be one of them.
It's going to be
go.
great.
Yep.
Promo code Afterthoughts 20. Try that. That'll work for the singles conference, and then try it for everything else.
Yeah,
And
sure.
just let us know if it works anywhere else. We'll do our best to try to get that to be a multiversal promo code. Kayla,
Yeah.
thank you for doing that. Thank you
Yep.
for making merch.
Yep.
And whatever else. And we will be back to talk about a life without technology with our guy Greg next week.